the economy, we're still in a recession. We're still one of the slowest in terms of recovery in Asia. We've already gone down so low where there were certain stocks that were too cheap to ignore. That's why people bought it, and that's why we saw it go up also. You can look at you can look at ASEN, you can look at Dito, which all three still have great storylines. Hey guys, so over the past few days, I've been getting a lot of questions from all of you asking whether there will be a crash once again. And that's what I want to talk about, and that's what I want to double down in this video. So I want to start off everything to tell you that number one, will there be a crash? There will be, because crashes are part of the cycle. Will it be in 2021 once again? I actually don't know, because no one has a crystal ball on how things will be. But please do note this, since markets move in cycles, it's normal for it to push up, and it's also normal for it to push down. It's normal for it to reverse upward, it's normal for it to reverse downward. People get excited, they buy it higher, people get scared, and they sell things lower. That being said also, here are some things that I do know right now. Number one, we just came from a crash last year. We saw the markets drop to an intraday low of around 4,000 from a high in 2018 of around 9,000. So from that perspective, we've massively seen the markets drop for more than 50% already. I've been in the market for just over a decade. Of course, there are different drops that happen in the 90s, there are different drops that happen in the 80s, and if there's one thing that I do know and that I've seen is that every time a big drop happens, it's followed by a rally also upward. That being said though, the rally that we've seen upward, we've already seen it also go massively up from the 4,000 intraday, from the 4,500 closing to 7,000 plus. That's quite a large amount of movement upward already. I guess the primary difference lang is for those upward moves, those upward strides, it happened quite fast. If you compare it from the 2008 crash, the drop in 2008 was a bit gradual, and the movement up also, it wasn't as fast as what we're seeing now, but the difference I guess in 2008 is when it started to go up, 2009, 2010, 2011, we saw it quickly go above the previous high. So for now, we have not really broken past the previous high, but what we've seen though is at some point, a lot of those large cap stocks also have gone above pre-COVID levels, meaning yung inakyat nila, mas mataas na ulit sila kesa nung point na bago bumagsak yung market because of the lockdowns and COVID. Looking at from the general underlying chart, we're seeing it right now no, that the market currently is consolidating. We've seen also in certain movements in the PSEI that when there were specific news items in the Philippines that caused people to buy, we've seen a jolt in movement sa market. We've seen it go up when Metro Manila was issued to be back to GCQ last June. We've seen it go down also last August when we were brought back to MECQ. Then when there were news also about the vaccine, we saw a jolt of buying bring the markets higher. From what we're seeing right now, I think the consolidation is basically this. We've already gone down so low where there were certain stocks that were too cheap to ignore. That's why people bought it, and that's why we saw it go up also. Then we had news-driven items which brought markets higher. But right now, we're consolidating because there isn't any news item or there isn't any fundamental source of information that would cause people to buy at a much higher price. Please remember that the markets going up are all about investors willing to buy assets, stocks at a higher price. So right now, we're consolidating because no one's willing to buy it at a higher price. And if you're looking at the economy also, there's still a lot of uncertainty. It's pegged that a lot of people that borrowed money, ngayon pa lang lalabas na nagde-default sila. Please remember at some point last year, no, the government had a lot of leeway. They mandated banks na hindi mo muna kailangan bayaran yung credit card bill mo or yung loan mo for 30 days, for 60 days, then na-extend pa. Eh ngayon, those extensions are over, meaning people should be paying. And as people should be paying, there will be people who their businesses got hit, they're an OFW, or they're income generally also got hit, meaning they would not be able to pay. If they're not able to pay, the non-performing loans of the bank will start to increase, and that's what we're gonna see. We're gonna see a lot of people not paying their loans, and that's not something that's very, very positive. The economy, we're still in a recession. We're still one of the slowest in terms of recovery in Asia. And one thing that I want to highlight also now is inflation is going higher, which is also a red flag. Just to connect everything that I said, crashes are normal. We shall crash again. However, we just came from a crash last year. Also, that being said, the market as of now is we are still currently consolidating. We're still moving sideways based on the information that has been given to us, and based on also the possibility of there's nothing so exciting yet in the future. And number 4, given that there's still a lot of uncertainty happening and there's a lot of not so good economic news that's also coming out, should you still invest? Can there still be opportunities for you? And the answer to that is yes. There will always be opportunities. It just has to be framed based on what your timeline is and the risks that you're willing to take. What do I mean about that? House that just issued preferred shares, which is about 5%. So if the name of the game for you is just to get passive income off of dividends, then you can still be in it. Those stocks that are giving you large amount of dividends from SPC, from Meralco, from Globe, from AREIT to PLDT, I think if you time it properly, their dividends and their dividend yields are still attractive, especially if you could time it at a point where it's lower or you get it to buy it at a higher price. So for a dividend investor, for certain issues where the yield is very, very attractive, then you can still go for it. For people who have longer time horizons and for people who want to be an investor, same thing. You could still position in stocks and companies that they're battered now. News surrounding them is not so good. But once everything clears, once the dust settles, once we start to see recovery in terms of, because the vaccine is already there, because a lot of people are immune, people start going back to normal, and then the economy starts to pick up once again, those companies would start to go back up again. Those companies would start to earn again. And the reason why I'm saying that, and I've said this in a lot of videos, is that bumagsak yung economy tsaka yung stock market not because pangit yung patakbo ng mga companies na yun. They are well-run companies. It's just that there's just a disease, an illness that no one projected that also hit the entire economy. So hanapin nyo, look at who are those market leaders, who are those companies with very, very large balance sheets, very minimal debt, who are those companies that have a lot of cash, and then look at those companies, sino sa kanila yung nagpipivot in this new normal, meaning they could have been hit, but they are also pivoting also into e-commerce or something that will allow them to sell more online. Of course, from a long-term standpoint, yung mga companies na hindi masyado natamaan that are thriving right now will do very, very well, and you can put your money into them. Or in the same way, also yung mga companies that after this pandemic will recover pero battered sila ngayon, you can also position. But the mentality there is you must be willing to wait. Especially if you're entering, for example, the banks. The banks, in my opinion, as of now, although they've gone up also a notch, I think they're undervalued. They're relatively cheaper, especially the bigger ones. If you go to BPI, BDO, Metro Bank, they're very, very undervalued. However, because of the fear of the non-performing loans of people borrowing and not being able to pay, or lesser people borrowing also because they're tightening their belt, the revenues for the short term will be hit. But then again, if you're looking at it down the road, how big will they be? Then maybe they would be good acquisitions for the day. We did a video with the COO of Century Pacific where think about all of their products, from their tuna to their corned beef to their milk to their sardines. Those are items that are consumed by the population regardless kung nung merong pandemic na nasa strictest of lockdowns tayo up until now na February 2021, that the lockdowns are not as strict anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Items like that cater to the general population that people consume on a regular basis. So even, I think parallels to that, now you have URC also, you have Pure Foods also, and then people are asking about the Lucky Me IPO. No? So if they're listed also, those are household brands that regular Filipinos buy, and they make a lot of money in scale. Companies that will do well after the pandemic, but you must wait long. Companies that are pivoting in the new normal, that are heavily shifting their sales to something that can generate money for them online. If you want to go the bank and the property route, longer waiting time, get the large balance sheets, lesser debt, market leaders, amazing brands. Now, for those who want to trade naman, what's interesting is you will see that there's so many opportunities, especially if you're following technicals and you are using volume. I highly suggest that if you want to trade the second liners, always focus on the ones that have very, very, very consistent volume, very, very strong value turnovers, because at least there's a sense that pag binili mo tong presyo na to, there's a chance that it holds and you won't be the last one holding the bag, that you may see it drop further. And it's very, very consistent, no? At least from the ones that moved last year, you can look at MM, you can look at ASEN, you can look at Dito, which all three still have great storylines. Also, Dito, as you all know, the third telco story. MM, as you all know, their growth trajectory, building a lot of supermarkets and groceries and convenience stores at a very, very fast rate. Then ASEN, you have your SRO, your FOO, then you have also the story of the renewable energy sector. You put that all together, it's what's creating a buzz. Over the past few years, I've been saying that it's foreigners, foreign institutions pushing our markets. Something shifted over the past months, that there's a lot of locals already that's creating the volume in the PSE, and that's the dream that we see Filipinos investing and profiting from the markets. Local retailers taking their cash, taking their savings, grabbing a hold of their future. These are not stocks that are generally in my watch list, and you've seen it from APL, from BSC, from MRC, from PHA. Large move ups with volume, and then pwede mong gamitan ng charts. Very, very important, I'll say this over and over, that if you're playing that route, you must really know what you're doing and you must do technicals. It's easy to get caught up when you see stocks moving up and you see your friends making money from it. But above and beyond that, the most important thing that you need to consider is natamaan ba yung buy signals nyo? Because kung natamaan yung buy signals nyo, by all means, and you are a person who's following volume and you're a person who's following technicals, then you can also go for it. I'll say this over and over, there's so much opportunity still outside the Philippines where you can put your money into. And if you've been following my videos, and I'm not gonna talk about that in depth in this video, is tech stocks is still the name of the game. I think no, digital currencies, especially the larger ones, cryptos that are heavily accepted, especially Bitcoin, it's easier to conceive right now already, slowly, that they're becoming the future. Even on my own personal portfolio over the past few weeks, mas napadami yung lagay ko. Don't get me wrong, I'm still consistently still allocating and investing and putting in money in the Philippine markets, but I've been intentionally adding and putting more to my portfolio in the US markets, and above and beyond the US markets, also in cryptocurrencies. So now it's become a multi-prong approach. Nakapuyat nga lang kasi yung cryptos 24/7, tas may US market ka pa ng madaling araw, then may Philippine market ka pa pagising mo. But it's been fun. You can't predict when a recession will happen. You can't predict when a crash will happen again. But what I do know is it will happen. And what's more important, if it happens or not soon, is yung mga parameters ninyo, kung anong gagawin nyo kung nangyari yon. Meaning, dapat na set ninyo paano kayo exit. Kahit crypto yan, kahit US markets yan, and kahit Philippine markets yan, what's more important is you need to know when to get out, you need to know when to sell, you need to know when to add, and that comes from you doing your due diligence, executing and studying. And I'll say this also for those who are new to this channel, we're talking about specific stocks here and ideologies and strategies, but it's not me telling you to transact and buy, because never ever buy just because I talk about it here, never ever sell just because I talk about it here. It's your money, it's your responsibility. You have to take the time to build your skills, to learn, because even though you may lose money in certain trades, okay lang yun eh. That's part of the game eh. People lose money in investing all the time, and it's part of it, and it happens to the best investors out there. So that's what I'm saying, and that's what I want to share to all of you. Don't be scared about trying to figure out, hindi mo na ako magpapasok ngayon kasi magka-crash yung market. Sometimes may nagsabi, may nabasa ako na article na magka-crash eh. A lot of people have been saying a market crash for years, but if you notice it, the crash that happened was only last year lang. I don't know if there will be a crash happening this year, but what I do know is this: should it happen this year, should it happen next year, should it happen 2 years from now, I have a plan on how to exit. I also have a plan to position, or I also have a plan having cash. What gives me the courage to do it is every time I invest, I always put money that kung mag-zero man siya, okay lang sa akin eh. People don't like XRP because of yung kaso niya abroad, but I'm investing in it. Borderline speculating, a bit, but I'm looking at the charts also. If I make a mistake, an XRP really becomes nothing. Bukod sa tanggap ko, yung linagay ko doon is money that I can live with it. If it goes to nothing, if it goes to zero, I'm okay with it. I hope that this gave you an encouragement that you're not supposed to be scared based on predictions that people make. What's more important is your strategy on how you get in, how you get out, how you hold, and how you allocate capital. So if you guys learned a lot and you want to know more about this, I'd like to invite you. At the end of February, we have a stock market course talking about technicals. We're going to talk about candlesticks, trend lines, support and resistances, moving averages, MACD, DMI, ADX, RSI, volume-based trading, Bollinger Bands, parabolic SAR, chart pattern type trading. It all will be online. The link is in the description below. So if you want to join us, feel free to click it below, and I'm excited to meet you all, and I'm excited to see YouTube subscribers that will be part of the seminar, that at least we get some interaction all together. So there, if you like more videos like this, comment I'll go, and appreciate it if you could press the like button because it helps the YouTube algorithm. And aside from that, if you want to be updated on more of this, feel free to subscribe and smash the bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about investing. I hope you got a lot from this, and I hope that this is something that added value to you. And it's exciting that we are living in exciting times as we're seeing cryptocurrency markets push up. We're seeing tech stocks in the US push up as well, and we're seeing some select stocks in the Philippines invest. And I'll end it with this, that there's always opportunity around. It's always about us trying to discover it, but not just discover it, study it, but not just study it, deploy capital in it. Kasi sayang naman kung may opportunity tapos hindi natin napag-aralan, tapos hindi natin napaglagyan ng capital. It's nice that while you're seeing things develop, you're also part of it. You have exposure, that you get to ride it, that when people ask, anong ginawa mo? Paano mo nagawa yun? Paano ka kumita? And you get to share it, not from a spectator's point of view, but someone who was a participant, someone who was in the game, someone who also got hit, someone who got losses, but in the end, because you knew what you were doing, it helped you, and it helped your portfolio, and it helped you reach your dreams of financial freedom. Because that's all this channel is all about. It's all about helping people live their lives, but not just that, use their finances to help them reach their key milestones, either financial freedom or to live the life that you want and to fulfill your purpose and passions in life. So that's it for now. Marvin Gurmo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.